Mom, Dad! He ran up the steps like a child to meet them. It was a fine, long afternoon. They finished lunch and they sat in the living room. And he told them all about the rockets and his being captain as they nodded and smiled upon him. And mother was just the same. Dad beat end of a cigar and lighted it in his old fashions. Mom brought in some iced tea in the middle of the afternoon. Then there was a big turkey dinner at night, and the time following on, when the drumsticks were shucked clean and lay detail upon the plates. The captain leaned back in his chair and exhaled his deep contentment that poured him a small glass of dry sherry. It was 7:30 in the evening. Night was in all the trees and coloring in the sky, and the lamps were halls of dim light in the gentle house. From all the other houses down the streets came sound of music, pianos playing, laughtering. Mom put a record on the Victoria, and she and Captain John Black had a dance. She was wearing she was wearing is the same perfume he remembered from the summer when she thought Dad had been killed in the train accident. She was very real in his arms as they danced lightly to the music. "I'll wake in the morning," said the captain, "and I will be my rocket in the space, and all this will be gone." "No, no, don't think that," she cried softly, played gently. "Why, yeah, don't question. God is good to us. Let's be happy." The record ended with a circular hissing. "You tried, son," said Dad. He waved his pipe. "You and Aid go on upstairs. Your old bedroom is waiting for you. The old one, the brass bed." And all laughed Edward. "But I should report my maid in." "Why?" Mother was logical. "Why?" "Well, I don't know. No reason. I guess no one at all." "No, none at all." "What's the difference?" He shook his head. "I am not being very logical these days. Good night, son." She kissed his cheek. "Night, Mom." "Sleep night, son." Dad shook his hand. "Same to you, Bob. It's good to have you home. It's good to be home." He left the hand of cigar smoke and perfume and books and gentle light, and ascended the stairs, talking with Edward. Edward pushed a door open, and there was the yellow brass bed and the old semaphore banners from college days, and a very musty raccoon goat who is the beauty with stains. "Muted affections, it's too much," he said faintly, like being in a thunder showers. without an umbrella. I am shocked to the skin with emotions. I am numb, I am tired. A night sleeps between cool, clean sheets for you, my bucco. Edward slept while the snowy leans and flowers the pillows. Then he put up a window and let the night blooming jasmine floating there as moonlight and the sound of distance dancing with whispering. So this is Mars, said the captain, undressing. So this is Mars, Edward undressed in idle, leisurely moves, drawing his shirt off over his head, revealing golden shoulders and a good muscular neck. The lights were out. They were into bed, side by side, as in the days, how many decades ago. The captain lolled and was nourished by the night wind, pushing the lace curtains out upon the dark room air. Among the trees up on a lawn, someone had cranked up a portable pornograph, and now it was playing softly. I'll be loving you always with a love that's true always. The thought of Anna came to his mind. Is Anna here? His brother lying straight out in the moonlight from the window, waited and then said, Yes, she's out of town, but she will be here in the morning. The captain shut his eyes. I want to see Anna very much. The room was squared and quiet, except for their breathing. Good night, Ed. A pause. Good night, John. He lay peacefully, letting his thoughts float. For the first time, the stress of the day was moved aside. All the excitement was calmed. She could think logically now. I had been all emotions. The bands playing, the sight of familiar faces, the sick pounding of your heart. But now, how? He thought. How was this made? And why? For what purpose? Out of the goodness of some kind God. Was God then really that fine and thoughtful of his children? How and why and what for? He thought of various theories advanced in the first heat of the afternoon by Hingston and lasting. He laid all kinds of new theories to aim lazy pebbles down through his mind as through a dark water now turning, throwing out dull flashes of white light. Mars, Earth, Mob, Dead, Edward, Mars, Martins. Who had lived here 1,000 years ago on Mars? Martins? Or had he always been like this? Martins. He's repeatedly the word quietly, inwardly. He laughed out loud almost. He had the most ridiculous theory all the sudden. It gave him a kind of chilled feeling. It was really nothing to think of. Of course, highly impossible, silly, forget it. It is ridiculous. But he thought, just suppose now that there were Martians living on Mars and they saw our ships coming and saw us inside our ships and hated us. Suppose now, just for the hell of it, that they wanted to destroy us as invaders, as I'd wanted once, and they wanted to do it in a very clever way, so that we could we would be taken off guardrail. What would be the best weapon? Be that a Martin clouds use against Earthmen with atom weapons? The answer was interesting. Telepathy, hypnosis, memory, and imaginations. Suppose all these house were not real at all. This bed not real, but only figments of my own imaginations, given substance by telepathy and hypnosis by the Martins. Suppose these houses are really some other shapes, a Martin shape, but by the playing on my desires and wants. These Martins have made this shape like my old hometown, my old house, to lull me out of my suspicions. What the better way to fool a man by his own emotions? And suppose those two people in the next room, asleep, are not my mother and father at all, but two Martins, incredibly brilliant with the ability to keep me under this dreaming hypnosis all of time. And that brass band today, what a clever plan it would be. First full lasting, then full Hingston, then gather a crowd around the rocket ship and wave, and all the men in the ship, seeing mothers, aunts, uncles, sweethearts, dead 10, 20 years ago. Naturally, disregarding orders, would rush out and abandon the ships. What more natural, what more unsuspecting, what more simple. A man does not ask too many questions when his mother is suddenly brought back to life. He is much too happy, and the brass bands played, and everybody was taken off to private homes. And here we all are tonight in various houses, in various beds, with no weapons to protect us. And the rocket lies in the moonlight, empty, and would not it be horrible and terrifying to discover that all of this was part of some great, clever plan by the Martins to divide and conquer us and kill us. Sometime during the night, perhaps, my brothers here on this bed will change from mailed shirt male shift had become a one-eyed, green and yellow-toothed marten. It will change from be very simple for him just to turn over in bed and put a knife into my heart. And in all those others' house down in the streets, a dozen others, brothers or fathers suddenly melting away and talking out knives and doing things to the unsuspecting, sleeping men of earth. His hands were shaking under the covers. His body was cold suddenly. It was not a theory. Suddenly, he was very afraid. He lifted himself in bed and listened. The night was very quiet. The music had stopped. The wind had died. His brother lay sleeping beside him. Very carefully, he lifted the sheets, rolled them back. He slipped from bed and was walking softly across the room when his brother's voice said, "Where are you going?" What? His brother's voice was quite cold. I said, "Where do you think you are going?" "For a drink water, but you are not thirsty." "But you are not thirsty." Yes, I am thirsty." "No, you are not." Captain John Black broke and ran across the room. He screamed. He screamed twice and never reached the door. In the morning, the brass hands played a mournful digger from every house in the street. Came little solemn processions bearing long boxes, and along the sun-filled street, weeping and changing, came the grandmans and grandfathers and mothers and sisters and brothers, walking to churchyard where there were open holes dug freshly and new tombstones installed, 17 holes in all and 17 tombstones. Three of the tombstones said Captain John Dark, Albert Lasting, and Samuel Hingston. The mayor made a little sad speech, his face sometimes looking like the mayor, sometimes looking like something else. Mother and father Black were there with brother Edward, and they cried, their faces melting now from a familiar face into something else. Grandpa and Grandma Lasting were there weeping, and faces also shifting like wax, shivering as the thing does in waves of heat on the summer day. The coffins were lowered. Somebody murmured about the unexpected and sudden deaths of 17 fine men during the night. The earth was shoveled in on the coffin tops. After the funeral The brass band slammed and banged back into town, and the crowd stood around and waved and shouted as the rocket was torn to pieces and strewn about and blown up.